Well, I want to welcome everybody to the Symposium 2024, and here in just a few minutes, we're going to begin our live talk through the catalog. We're going to have join us here Cooper Bounds, Trent Kempker, and Glenn Martin are going to give commentary. They're on the lots there this evening. And particularly just by consignor, some general comments, and then particularly we're going to spend a little time there on the genetic lot. So we'll start that here in just a few minutes. We are live streaming that live preview now as well. So give us just a few minutes. I think we're going to serve dinner here right after 6, so we'll let everybody know when that's ready. And then we've got a really awesome thing for us here. Skylar Williamson here to give a keynote speech there at 6:30 or so. So, man, we're looking forward to a big evening here, and enjoy yourself. Feel free to ask any questions. If you're online, shoot to consignor or myself a text. And we've got a big web audience, so we're looking forward to that as well. And start the commentary through the catalog from our panel here in just a few minutes. Well, fixing to get started here on this preview. My wife reminded me that the sale orders, everything's cataloged and referenced by their catalog number that you've got there posted on either showgoats.com or SC Online or in your print catalog or whatever version you've seen there, and they'll be referenced by their catalog number. But we do have a sell order here, and I'll set some out. They're over at the blue Kennedy Ventures table for you to get the actual sell order for this evening. And for those of you that are online buying and bidding, that will be posted on CCI.live and Kennedy Ventures. So I'll set a few of these out here in the middle, and y'all can grab them, and then we'll get started here in just a couple minutes. Test 1, 2. Lucas Falkenstein, you're requested at the front. Thing's not working. Time to time it works. Cash, can you hear me there? Okay. How about now? We're muted now. Unmuted. Can we turn it up just here? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're ready. Yeah. We need to spend some time on this genetic logs. We're going to roll through them after that. Yeah. Blake, can you give us a mic check when you can? Make sure that we're good online. Guys, let's go ahead and get started here with the symposium commentary from our panel. I'm privileged here to be joined with three very good friends and colleagues and men that I hold in high esteem from their knowledge of livestock and knowledge of this industry and influence that they have thereof. To my left here is Trent Kempker, one of my best friends and partners. Cooper Bounds there in the middle needs no introduction from the success that their firms and their accomplices have there across the country. And then Glenn Martin, the godfather, if you will, on the far left. Glenn Martin, a multi-species livestock evaluator, influencer, and a guy that just all around knows how to get it done across the table. So we're going to get started here. We're going to talk these things with you guys by consigner. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a little bit of consigner info. I'm going to make some basic commentary on the consigner themselves, and then the guys to my left are going to talk the lots in particular. So we're going to start here again in reverse order on the catalog as we did the live preview outside, and this is lot 61 from Adam and Jenny Keese there at Keese Livestock. Recently moved there to Texas, just west of Stephenville, and moved their herd here, and we're excited to have them and their family there in Texas. I'd kind of heard they were moving. We actually bumped into them at church there a couple of months ago, and was really a great surprise, and really glad to have them here. Talked a lot to Adam about his philosophy and breeding goats and his thought process and the importance that he puts on females and the lineage that he has behind those things. And they brought us one that they didn't really want to sell. She's in her working clothes. She's really sporty, and I think the guys have some comments to say about her. These guys all watched the preview and took notes. So lot 61 from Adam and Jenny Keese. This is a true yearling doe kid that we're going to sell in her entirety.
Yes, so the Keese crew started out in Pennsylvania, know Adam very, very, very well. Him and his grandfather have put together an awesome set of goats, and if you study this female's pedigree, it basically describes what they've been working on for the last several years. You've got a Top Gun, Captain Morgan, Gator. They've worked on all of those bucks from the ground up, starting with their maternal genetics. Obviously, Top Gun would be the $100,000. A little
closer, they said.
Top Gun would be the $100,000 full sib to carry the boats. This doe visually there in the back is very, very good. I'll let Glenn talk about that.
Well, she is extremely wild in terms of her look and her cage. I personally like the fact that she's kind of in working clothes. I think Adam was apologizing a bit, but reality is, guys, if we want these things to produce, they have to look about like this. We appreciate that one. Coming in rigged the way she needs to. Incredible in terms of flexibility, body type, and shape. Awesome female there that they bring us, and great pedigree up top.
La Copa show goats, lot 58. 59 and 60, and the Jackson family there, and Larry and Priscilla, no stranger, man. Those guys have been raising really good ones for a long time. I was privileged this year to get to work with them on a little closer level, helping them with some AI work and some matings and working with them on some selection. And then we've been privileged to host all of their sales this year through showgoats.com. They sold with us at the Fever and had one of the higher selling lots there. And, man, they've got three really good yearlings. And the fact the influence they've been able to make, the number of champions they've been able to make, and they've hit a little different demographic probably of feeder there in Texas than some guys have, and they've consistently had goats. Glenn can testify to this. Goats that have got along, have fed true for people, and then have won banners across the board there. And man, I think three of them, in my opinion, that are really functional, that are really feminine, that are absolutely impeccable in their build. And if you can, between the three of them, if you can find one flaw in them skeletally, I'd like you to show it to me, because I think these are three really nice females.
I think I had the privilege to see these last week while we were breeding at Mox, and three females that were just extremely functional and sound, and they've got some grow and some size to them, and three I think you can take home and put them on the flush table or breed them to a buck of your choice. I think they're very versatile, very complete livestock, and La Copa's had a really good set of wethers that sold online this time. Yeah, I saw his buck kid option. They sold at the Fever, and that was certainly one of the more impressive ones I saw all summer. I think three really good females that have a place no matter where you're at in the industry, big, small. I think three that'll go home and go to work for you.
Well, just talking about the does there, to me, just in working clothes, great flesh to go in and work for you. Had incredible success with the set of females. I was most enamored with that particular 58 doe, and that one just in terms of upper hip and pin set and skeletal quality. That one starts great right there in her skull and moves all the way back. Awful good stock there.
Well, what I've loved most about studying these does, obviously, Larry and his family have been working on making really high-end goats for a long time. What's neat to me is the length of these pedigrees, studying back to really, really good stuff, multi-generations back, and you see that in all three of them. I think a really neat set of what people would call outcross females, but they're not that far outcross in terms of relative nature. I think a set of them that really can tie in terms of stuff that we've been using in other parts of the industry for a long time. I think all three of the bottom side of these females is very, very interesting.
I think, the bootlegs there at Larry's, this will be one of the, I guess, the first sets of bootleg yearlings to sell, I think. And those things at the house, those babies this time were some of the stoutest, shaggiest, heaviest muscle ones. In particular, I think this lot 58 that is a brood cow, deluxe looking thing with a monster cage and a huge hip, and she's very, very sound. Jade Holscher comes next, and Steve Holscher and his crew have been one of the highlight lots, I guess, Glenn, for the last at least 5 years. I can remember when the Holscher Fiesta Symposium relationship started. I was standing there with your, what you want to call it, the parade, I guess, all of your kids coming through and your crew there at San Antonio and doing project checks there. It was dark outside, and we're out there on the green turf, and weather come through, and I said, man, what's that one? And Holscher. Here directly 2 or 3 minutes later, another one comes through. I said, well, what's that one? Holscher. Here directly, another one comes through. I said, well, how are them things bred? He said, well, they're all flush mates. And I think there was 4 flush mates you guys showed. 2 of them won classes, and 2 of them were seconds between San Antonio and Houston.
That's right.
And those were dog-eat-dog flush mates, all 81s. And I said, well, I need to buy one of those sisters. And you laughed at me. And we talked Steve into, you said, hey, I'd gladly let him sell one, but he's not going to do it. We talked him into selling one at the Fiesta there that next year, 906. She would have been a 2019 year model. And we bought that thing, and she did great stuff for us. Most recently there, made the weather that won Exarban there this last fall that Kenna showed, the Struby judged. And so, man, those things have continued to do well for people that have bought them. That 81 dog-eat-dog sister thing is relevant in so many firms. You guys all have some sitting to my left. Sturts has used it very successfully. Kelsey's used it very successfully. And, man, if you want ditchy muscles and density and just real steel, that's the place to go to get it. So,
well,
y'all want to talk to those? That's my 2 cents.
It's been fun to work with Steve, and for as old school as he is, he's awful progressive in terms of wanting to make good stock. If you looked at this trio when they come out there a little earlier, they're very similar in type and kind. They're cagey, they're sound, they're flexible, flexibility both in their spine and in their lower joints, and that's the kind of goat that we can all use. Everybody's got the buck they think they need. I can tell you a lot of us don't have the does we need, and that those of us that have used these does from the Holscher firm consistently have found a great place and a great cross that we have with ours. And I think the set he brought is just phenomenal here today.
What I love most about that discussion is that Glenn put the most important word relative to these females in one singular word and called it cagey. These are the most radical-bodied, round-ribbed, ridiculous-centered ones in the whole set. And he summarized that with cagey, but it's really, really important.
Yeah, I've got 3 stars by 55 and 56 here. I will say, and I'm not picking on whoever your photographer of choice was this week, but for those of you that didn't get to see these things online, Lot 55 is the most under-photoed animal in the catalog.
Thank you.
So, Lot 54, talking about our first genetic option, and this is really a neat deal here. From Lacey Livestock, Justin and Ashley and their family there. We've got to be good friends with them. They've been really good genetic customers of ours. Made the highest seller this year at the Friday Night Fever out of a flush they did at the house to Believe in Me. And, hey, this family, they don't have lots of them. They may not be the traditional seed stock producer, but they have invested as much time and financial resources into making goats that are elite and can win and helping families across the board, both in their goat and their pig herd, actually. But we're selling goats today. What they're offering is a flush package, choice of flush and cookie or Regina. Cookie's a firehouse doe there, and that's the dark-headed doe that's on the stand in the catalog picture. And Regina is the doe that was the grand champion this past December at the Arizona National. I can talk personally about those two. That Regina, the doe that won OYE, these things are actually currently residing at our house in our flush program there at Mock Livestock. We flushed those does last week, and they both flushed well. This Cookie is an embryo producing machine. She's made over 30 in her last 2 programs. And so they are offering you the opportunity to flush either one of those. The doe there that won, Regina that won Phoenix is probably the burliest, cagiest, densiest, hairiest one living at our house right now. If the buyer so chooses, we will set those up there at Mock Livestock and handle your flush program for you to one of the KM bucks. If you want those does to be flushed to something else or somewhere else, that's totally your option, and you can flush them wherever to whoever you want. But they are selling an option to flush either of those 2 young donors. And I'm going to tell you, again, they're living at our house in our program now, and they are very, very impressive. They both are super sound internally, and I think this is a big opportunity from Lacey Livestock. You guys got any commentary for that?
Yeah, I had the privilege to see these last week, and 2 that are certainly impressive to look at, that had awesome show careers and did a lot of winning. The Regina 256, that one's backed by a lot of doe power out of Double the Fun, which was a tag team on number 2 that Alan Morgan has and has had a lot of champion. I think that's the mother of Alan and a few of those. But 2 that have done a really good job. I think that's a really unique opportunity to flush 2 does that are certainly impressive and would be an awesome addition. And I think this is, you get the whole flush, right?
You get the whole flush, and Ashley, correct me, we're going to guarantee 4 transferable embryos as well. So there's some assurity there with you. So you're going to be guaranteed 4 transferable embryos, and buyer of this lot gets them all.
I think this has got big return on investment all over it.
Yep.
I actually got to judge one of these. I don't get to judge very often anymore. I believe it's Regina is the Arizona doe, right?
Yep.
That is one of the best ones I've seen in the last 365 days. Judged her out at Jackpot Show in California, and I'd seen pictures of her, obviously. She is way better than all the pictures that have been posted. Her rib cage, her touch, her tone, big legs, but then still built right. Hip design, levelness, tail set, very, very good. Excellent female.
Between her rib cage and my belly, I couldn't wrap around her. So, 53 from the Hoffman brothers. This is a neat deal. Talked to Lane and Brody, and they got with their new partner, Cade and Jamie there at Hoffman Livestock. But this is going to be semen opportunities on Loud and Proud, their new HT son. I'll make one comment. When we walked in the barn there at Lane and Brody's, Trent and I on our Friday Night Fever tour there before Fever, Trent can read me like a book. I'm pretty reserved, I think, around most people, but I'm a pretty open book around him, and he can read me like a book, and my eyes got big for one reason when we saw this one. So let you guys talk. And neat opportunity. We're going to sell 3 lots of semen. I'll give you the particulars, okay? There'll be an A, B, and C lot right here. A will be 2 straws, B will be 6 straws, and C will be 10 straws. We're going to sell them in order A, B, C. If the buyer of A wants to take all 3 lots, you can do that, but we're going to sell A first, then B, then C.
This was one of the highlights of our Fever trip. By far the most impressive one we saw in terms of just shape and dimension and chest width and how he progressively gets wider as he goes back. And we walked into Lane and Brody's barn, and there were 2 other wethers in there that I was pretty smitten with, and Kevin just kept kicking this thing around. And I think if we could have named him, we would have called him back an ass. That thing has lots of tacos, lots of cage. I think that thing works on a wide variety of females. He is really impressive, and everybody knows how well those HTs have worked at the Halfman Brothers place. They've almost, I think almost every one they've sold has won on the big stage. I think this is a really unique opportunity to get in on some of the first frozen we have here.
Well, I read in here it said most impressive buck kid I've handled in terms of touch, and I've handled one other that was real similar to this one. His number was 900. He was over at Mike's. Other than that, I've never touched one like this either, just in terms of putting your hands on one, stupid good.
We've spent a lot of money over the years in Garden City buying some weather goats that have gone on to do a lot of really special things, both at the Brothers and at Cade's. Those guys have made goats at a really, really elite level. This is the single widest, stoutest one that has come with the nuts in him. Very, very special billy goat.
Talk about John Smithwick's lots. John's a great friend of ours from Lubbock there, lot 51 and 52, and he's one of the people in the room. If you get a chance to sit down and have a few minutes to talk to him, he's got a lot of neat things to discuss with. He's brought us a 50% interest buck kid, terms to be decided and discussed between buyer and seller. I know he has intentions of using this thing pretty heavily there in his firm, and has brought us a true doe kid, a January doe kid that has a lot of future if you want to go show there and you're buying her in her entirety. Lot 51 and 52 from Smithwick Genetics.
John's certainly one of my favorite people to have a conversation with. He's really passionate about structure and how they're built, and seeing those things move around the pen. And one of the smarter guys I've probably been able to sit down and talk to, just in terms of how genetics work and the things that back up your flush program and how to make things better and what minerals and vitamins to use. But talking about his lots here, the buck, certainly one that's got a lot of presence, a lot of bone, a lot of shag, a lot of look from the side. Timeless offspring are just now hitting the ring. I think I heard earlier that Timeless wins the doe show at South Dakota today. Certainly those haven't quite hit the ring just yet, but we have really high hopes for those coming into the fall. Once again, John really, he's really passionate about them being sound and good looking and up and out and being able to float and get around the ring. Two options I think that can benefit a lot of guys that are trying to make them sounder, better looking, and just more flexible and comfortable.
Trent's talking about this billy goat. I thought he was very interesting. The doe kid that he's bringing, you study genetic-wise, extra interesting. He's lining up this wish deal, which if anyone's paid attention to any of the relevant genetics that we've talked about throughout the course of today, that buck and his sire are the reason that we are all gathered together here today. John and his group have put that together in one single package and then packed some really interesting maternal genetics on the back side of that. I think that is a bona fide breeding piece there in lot 52.
I agree with that. I think breeding piece fits the bill on 52, and I was enamored with 51 in terms of his Clydesdale feet and his looseness of structure.
That's what, yeah, before we turn the page there, I think bone and foot size, true bone and foot size relative to body mass, that is the heaviest footed, biggest bell bottoms we've got in the offering for sure. Lot 49 and 50 from J&J Livestock. Lot 49 is a split flush opportunity on the Reserve Grand Doe at the California Youth Expo that was actually previewed today, and then they are flushing her to X, which is their new buck that they brought today and showed off in our preview. And then they're going to guarantee 3 embryos, turnkey, all expenses paid, split flush opportunity on that doe. And then lot 50 is choice or double down on Blake's 2 keeper ewe lambs here, the black-headed Dorper ewe lambs. I will say on the lot 50, we're selling it once. Buyer can choice or double. We're not going to turn around and sell the other one, so we're selling that lot one time.
Well, I'm not a big hair sheep guy. I'm far from a shepherd, but I think that the pair of Dorpers that Blake and the crew have brought to town are really, really good. I asked him about them, and I was pumped that he was going to sell choice, or you could double down and buy both of them, because I couldn't make up my mind up as to which one was better. Thought both those females, we've talked about hair sheep a bunch here in the last couple this afternoon, and I think that those represent a phenotype, a level of quality in terms of skeletal assembly that we haven't seen in very many of them, and I like what he's put together there.
I agree. I think spine and feet and legs and ability to move separate that pair, and I did like the fact he's willing to sell either or both, but not both 1 and 1. So good quality stock there. Blake's worked hard with those. That family's worked very hard with those. Outstanding opportunity to get in on their ground floor.
So, yep, lot 49, guys.
Yeah, so lot
the doe they
49,
displayed in that freak of a buck.
Yep, and another genetic opportunity that has lots of return on investment. In my opinion, I think it's all inclusive. You buy the lot tonight, they provide the recips, the semen, the flush cost, and you return the recips after they wean. So you split the embryos. I think that's a quick return on investment. That billy goat is really intriguing. That's one of my favorite hidden treasure sons I've seen. And that female is sound and flexible and good looking and has giant feet and legs. I think that's kind of a no-miss deal. Quick return on investment.
Yeah, I like the female much better in person than the picture. You were talking about under-photoed. I think she under-photoed here because she looked a whole lot better and a whole lot more flexible out back. Very impressed with her width and quality, and like the fact that there's a legitimate opportunity to ROI on this lot. Good stock there from J&J.
Lot 48, 47 from Asmussen Bounds. I believe Bernie is selling the 22081 mature donor with a twist, selling 100% interest and possession of this doe. And I'm going to let Cooper talk to doe, the genetics, and the background behind that. But what we're doing here on lot 48, okay, we're selling 100% interest and possession of the doe, okay? The twist is buyer has an option to leave 22081 at Asmussen Livestock in Kewanee, Illinois until their October 12th flush program. Bernie will do the setup and program for you at no additional charge for yardage or labor. Buyer will be responsible for flush costs and semen. Recips are available that day to load out after transfer at $400 each. So, man, I think in terms of an option for somebody to come in here and buy a proven donor, not relocate her, have an option to breed her to this crew who's got some of the best bucks in the country. They leave her there, they do the program for you, you show up and get your recips or have them shipped to you. Man, I think that is a huge, huge thing for Bernie to offer that to the buyer. Or if you want, buy the doe, have her shipped to you, and flush her, show her, ride her in the parade, or do whatever you want with her. Lot 48 and then lot 47 is the embryo package from Bernie and Cooper. These are going to sell in straws of 2 minimum times the money. Okay, we are going to roll all the way through buyer's choice, A, B, C, D, and E lot. Choice them in every configuration imaginable. Okay, there you can see there will be 2 up to 4 on lot A, 2 up to 10 on lot B, 2 up to 4 on lot C, 2 up to D, or 2 up to 8, I'm sorry, on lot D, and then 2 up to 6 on gumdrop lot E. Again, you can choice these E, D, C, A, B. You can choice them A, B, C, D, E. You can take them all. We are selling all the embryos choiced in lots of 2 times the money. You can talk about the stock.
Yeah, it's really simple.
Take a minute.
It's really simple, guys. Lot 47 and lot 48 are only happening because Bernard is in love, and he's going to move to Iowa with his bride.
Ask Cash what happens there.
And I love Bernie also, and so we're going to figure out a way to make him some money. And we've been working on that for a while. I think he's got a place bought. He's got a place figured out. And I'm really, really happy for him and for Delana. Lot 48 is the absolute biggest money maker that Bernard and I have owned together since I moved to Illinois. Bernie and I started owning goats together when I moved to Illinois about 4 years ago. This is the doe that has made the absolute most money as an individual of any of them that he and I have owned together. It doesn't say it on here because when we were putting all this together, I don't know if it had happened yet. That $31,000 Midwest Feather Weather also won the Illinois State Fair Open Show. He is dominant. I'm really glad that he didn't win the junior show because we get to show him at Kansas City now, and he is really, really good. The $34,000 Red Tie Weather that she also made in her second flush would have been the high point goat on the PCLA circuit. If anyone's followed what's going on in Pennsylvania on that show circuit, I would put that jackpot show circuit up against anywhere else in the United States. I know it's Pennsylvania, but those guys flat get after it at a level that nobody else in the U.S. does in terms of week in, week out, 8-week circuit of showing and no rest. And it's a cumulative point circuit, and that one beat them the majority of the time on that circuit. She's not here because she got flushed on August 4th. She made 10 embryos, which makes sense because that's what she's done every single time, consistently. That one's really, really good. It doesn't matter what you breed her to. The Red Tie Weather was an OG. The Midwest Fever Weather was a tea time. We've done her, I believe, in August. I believe we did her to Giddy. And those could potentially be the best of all of them. And so she's worked no matter what you breed her to. She's just a dominant female, and it makes sense with her pedigree. She's out of one of the most prolific bucks up there at Judd's. You know, we bought her as a doe kid from Judd, and then out of a Bob Allen female that I assume came from Glenn, which would be very similar to the females that him and that firm are offering this evening. And so kind of proof in the pudding for some other lots selling this evening, but also that's one that's flat out worked. If you don't want to buy all of her, there are some proven embryos. There are some iconic OGs that are selling as Lot A out of her on our embryo package. The Pinky Doe, that's Lot B. Basically, this Lot 47 is every donor doe that Bernie and I own together that has won something in the last couple of years. And if you guys don't think we're not trying to make Bernie some money to go do some stuff, we wouldn't do this most years. This is pretty special. This Lot B is Pinky. She won Ohio State Fair. Those would be to Hidden Treasure or Flippin' Rocks. She was a keep swinging mini heat. Lot C is Mango. That's the doe that Bernie's bride showed and won the All Iowa Showdown. She was a keep swinging Buttons, which Glenn would probably be most familiar with that mating. That's one of the most dominant matings at Judd and Alyssa's. Those are to Giddy, which you might make a note there, Glenn. This probably needs starred and dotted for you.
I see that. Buy all my stuff back.
Yeah, the just clarification, the pedigrees in the parentheses, the sire there listed is the service sire of the embryos. So the babies you're going to be getting are Giddy Keep Swinging Buttons. Yeah, Mango's the Keep Swinging Buttons doe. This is really cool. This took a lot to fit on one page. Bernie sent it to me. It was this long. Had to try to condense it. This is really cool. Keep going, Coop. I'm sorry. I'm reading it wrong with you.
I'm talking a lot, but this is one of the coolest lots in the deal. I hope people take advantage of this.
Yeah. There's a lot of you sitting out there watching online. Need to get
if anyone knows Bernard, Bernie is one of the most meticulous people there are in terms of managing donors and taking care of goats and making embryos happen. Bernie and I have 2 semen tanks full of frozen embryos, and that's why we're doing this.
That'd be nice.
Bernie could basically not flush for another 2 years, but we're trying to be progressive. The guy has got stuff flat out going on. This Lot D, this black-headed doe, I believe Mike and Trey are in the audience somewhere. There's Mike. Caught those guys on a weekday. They sold us an entire kid crop of doe kids, and it's been the best thing that's ever happened. There's a chrome daughter that made the Reserve Grant at Colorado. This is a sister, I believe, this black-headed doe that's in here. So those are iconics or ham gravies on that chrome doe. She was black-headed. So 2 of the wilder colored bucks bred to a black-headed one. That could be very interesting from coloration alone. Plus, she's made really, really nice ones. That doe was champion breeding doe at the Pennsylvania Youth Expo, and then she made a paint goat that hasn't shown yet. He was one of our high sellers at CCI.live, brought 29,000. He's going to show this fall. I think he's really, really special. And then the last lot in that, Gumdrop. I'm going to probably nudge on Glenn again. This is a Goodness Bob Allen 38. She was reserve breeding doe at Cheyenne. That doe sold in Kelsey's exclusive sale. Bernie and I got her bought. She was the most impressive baby doe kid at Mortweets that year, and then skinnied up for some reason. I have no idea why. Sold it exclusive. Bernie and I were able to get her bought up. We bred her to Ham Gravy. A little bit behind that, she's got some spots on her neck, and we thought that coloration would be pretty wild. Both goats are really good. I'm hoping we get this colored division figured out at Kansas City, Louisville, Denver, and get those split up. We're breeding for it. I hope it happens. I think those embryos could do that, and they're going to be really good regardless of the coloration on them.
Well, I think when you have this page open in front of you, what you need to understand is proven is the word. What they're bringing us here, what Bounds and Osmus are bringing us is a proven genetic package that you're not having a guess at. And the opportunities are endless here. Get in where you fit in, pick up what you want. But a great opportunity for those that are reading their paperwork here. They're opening the page, giving us the goods, and giving us an opportunity to get what we want out of their program.
Yeah, I think the guys have talked enough about this, but Bernie and Coop been on a heater. That's an awesome duo that do a lot of things really good, and I had the privilege to see both those wethers out of this 81, and we certainly bid on them there for a while. They were some of the very best ones that sold all spring. I'm excited to see them here this fall come out. But Bernie, he is big on females, and so is Coop. And if you go over to this embryo package and look, all of those things have won or sold a champ. I mean, I think that's pretty impressive. What a proven set of lots right here by the Asmus and Bounds crew.
That's a lot to take in. I just flag in there and pick one and say how many you want. So there's maxes on there. Lot 46 comes from RR Dorpers, and this is Patriot, the black Dorper ram that we looked at today. And this thing is extremely impressive, the most resumed animal that we're going to sell. This Dorper ram is selling in his entirety, plus 25 units of frozen semen stored and put up at RSG. Sellers retaining 50 straws for personal use. I'm not a shepherd either, but I do appreciate extremely good livestock. This is good livestock. I told these folks, I said, if you're going to bring him in person, he needs to add value to the resume, and I thought he did. You guys can give some comments on him.
Well, the most decorated Dorper ram alive today in terms of siring ring winners and contenders as well. This one's been used extensively by the Ransom family, and they bring that thing to town, an awesome rig. Hopefully you were able to look there at the back and watch that thing in a preview. Maybe you're here and can see how good that one is. He looks a little small in type and kind in this picture, and frankly, he's none of that. That thing is big, he's extended, he's flat-backed, he's flexible, he's wide, he's square in his front end, he's good in his joint work. Hard to get one built like that, hard to make one like that at 5, and hard to get one, nearly impossible to get one with that kind of a resume, as Kevin said. Incredible animal there, opportunity to get him in the prime of life. Here's an awesome chance to get in on the ground floor with one that's generated extremely well.
Lot 45, we hadn't got a chance to talk about this one yet, but, you know, talking about this lot, and I'd sent Callie a text because I don't think Norman texted, asking them, inviting them to the sale, and they're going to sell Polar Bear, which is their buck tag 2090, their white Dorper ram that they've campaigned, that they've used in their flock, been a big part of their deal. If you listen to Jake P's podcast, And when Norman talked about his favorite animal being a polar bear and the reasons behind that, me and the boys, actually, I made the boys listen to that podcast driving down the road one time. He has been fertility tested, selling him in his entirety.
Well, I'm going to talk this one as well. This ram comes from NK. When you look there and you see 1619 in the pedigree, you need to realize where that one is in terms of the white dorper business, and the white dorper game pretty much unrivaled in terms of quality, in terms of generating ability. That sire's been just so dominant over the years, made it back to his mother, makes him the pick of that 2020 lamb crop, one that's in the prime of life, tested, ready to go. Probably once again, in my opinion, after seeing the ram under photographed, way bigger, more extended than what he looks in photo. But awesome opportunity here to get a ground floor white one that's bred out the wazoo, and you get one that is fertile and ready to roll for this summer, late summer, fall.
Lot 43 and 44 from the Newsom Ripley firm, and these are selling 2 full-service flushes to their 2 new young sires. And 43 is a full-service flush to Sniper. Cooper, let you talk that one, the buck from Alan Morgan. And what you're doing here is bringing your donor for their October flush program. They're going to program her, they're going to splash her to Sniper and transfer embryos. Up to 4 recips are included in the deal. They're paying the transfer fees, they're paying the flush bills, they're providing the recips, they're doing all the deal. You bring your donor and you come pick up the full meal deal package. And then lot 44 is, I'll let you talk this one as well, Coop. Lot 44 is their full service flush to Ghost Pepper. That's their new iconic buck. There was a trio of those iconic sons that I've seen a few times. They've got a really, really neat pedigree. They're iconic on a Soldier Boy doe. This thing is absolutely massive in his rear end and his hip shape, and it has a big, chunky, hairy back leg, huge forearm, and lots of fur. And I think this is a really neat deal they're going to offer you. So 2 different full-service flush matings, 1 to Sniper and 1 to Ghost Pepper.
Well, these are both really, really special lots, and if I read this right, basically everything is inclusive, right? So you're buying the semen,
everything,
the recips, the flush bill. I hope we understand what that costs, guys, as we're going through this evening. It's pretty significant, the value that they're associating with each of these lots. This lot 43 is a good eye on 952. 952 is one of the more dominant females that has ran through Allen's place, momming a bunch of really, really good bucks and females that he's built around. Those good eyes have flat out produced and worked at a high level. Good eye would obviously be a brother to Sandra Klinger's Weather that would have won the Denver replacement in 21. And so really, really special deal there.
I think we looked at a really good eye doe out here of Allen's this afternoon, and we'll talk about later.
Yeah, all those good eyes have been excellent. There was a class winner at Denver and Louisville that went through Friday Night Fever. There was a good eye also last year. Really, really special animals. This lot 44, basically Newsom and Ripley are bringing both of their main bucks that they're working on this year and said, hey, bring them. Let's set up a donor, and we're going to provide the semen and provide the whole works and get you started with a breeding program here. I was fortunate enough to talk with Jeff earlier this afternoon about this Ghost Pepper buck, and I think there's been a pair of full sib bucks to this one they sold half interest in. They kept this one because they thought he was absolutely the best, and then maybe there's a fourth one, a flushmate's sister, that's really, really special. Obviously, that's an iconic Soldier Boy. If anyone's followed what we're working on there at the house, that's a pair of genetics that we're really, really pumped about. And honestly, as we study this is probably the lot that I most want to figure out how to get a goat down to Texas and get set up for.
Well, hey, you can buy you a doe tonight and send her home in Jeff's pickup and trailer, and he can take care of that for you. You only have to ship her to Texas. I will say this lot 44, saw these bucks a couple times there at Kevin's. Where that one is really unique, he's really up-fronted. He is void of shoulder protrusion, but he's wide. He's flawless in his hip-loin junction, really flat and just flared out there in his loin edge. and big haired. So that's a really neat buck there. So lot 43 and 44, Newsom Ripley, full service flush matings.
The biggest thing on that lot, Kevin, I don't want to drag on too long, I want to make sure everyone understands what type of value is being offered in that lot, because there's just some pictures and it says a full service flush. Okay, there's 4 included recips, plus a flush bill, plus the transfer bill, plus the semen bill.
5-6K plus. 5 to 6,000 easy.
That is a really special deal. I hope we don't sit on this.
Yeah, I hope you don't run by 43 as well, just because he's not super shaggy there in coming into summertime as he shed out. But that one had plenty of fur and fuzz. That thing's bred both ends to have fuzz. Incredible body shape, awesome dimension in terms of muscle shape, and just an elite look in that sire there to Sniper as well.
I figured Trent was a gamer when he was a kid, you know, and he was privileged, and his mom made his dinners and packed his lunch. But he doesn't know. But there was a video game. I didn't play very many of those when I was a kid, but there was a deal. He's on fire. And on 41 and 42, hey, this guy's on fire. Jake P. has been absolutely on a heater here recently, and he brings us a pair of genetic or non-traditional lots here in lot 42 and 41. 41 is pick of the white tag fall-born doe kids there in early at Richardson Livestock. So the white tags are Jake's does, not the partnership does. So this is pick of any of the fall-born doe kids at Jake's. And then lot 42 is a half jump there on their new buck, FedEx. And I've seen him a couple times, and you can watch him online on numerous videos. And that thing is wild-looking, jerk-necked, has a big bendy back leg and a big square hip in him. Really neat offerings from Richardson Livestock. He's on a heater, 41 and 42.
Jake just texted me and said, please pump up lot 41, because I really don't want to sell this. And what this is pick of his doe kids out of their September, or I guess the doe kids that'll be born in September. They are all out of Cheddar. Cheddar would be a brother to the champion Weather at Colorado this past week, and from what I've heard and the guys who were out there, they certainly thought that one was impressive and maybe one of the best ones that crossed the ring all summer, and he certainly looked like it from the live feed that we watched. Jake, like Kevin said, has been on a heater. He's critical on structure, build, hair, shag, and one of the most progressive young guys in the business, and I'm really privileged to call him a friend. But I think a really neat lot. Jake's been kicking it, and FedEx looks as stout and wide and square as any buck that anybody's promoted this summer, and certainly something a lot of guys need to get in on.
I think let's take 5 here, guys, and let everybody serve their food, and we'll finish the preview while they're eating before Skylar talks. So before we talk any more lots, the food is ready in the back. So go ahead, or you want to keep talking? We'll keep talking. How about that? We'll keep talking through the lots. You can go ahead and funnel through there. Oh, I just got a text that not quite yet. Give us about 5 minutes, I'm sorry. So we'll keep talking. Lot 39 and 40 from Walker Livestock. Avery actually texted me and said she had a pair of these December doe kids that she had flushed. And, oh no, I wasn't asking if I need you, Casey. So food's almost ready, I'm sorry. She's got a pair of these December doe kids that she had flushed there this summer. They flushed 13 and 15 embryos. And so we are selling these doe kids 100% in their entirety, both sired by Timeless. We do have a catalog typo. Lot 40's mother is a swap meet Louis, not a Picasso. Lot 39's mother is the Homo Picasso doe.
Well, they had the privilege of looking at those does a couple weeks ago. Really stout, big cage, monster back pair of does that Avery there at Walker Livestock brings us. I appreciate the intensity this young lady has and her desire to breed livestock, make good livestock here in the goat side. She has 2 Timeless does here that she's offering. The lot 40, a bit more moderate in her outline, not quite as furry, but big-footed, a really big cage, very shapely one that's super flexible. And then we have the 3010 doe, the lot 39, a little bigger in type and kind, a little more elevated at the top of her blade, huge rack, huge loin, one that's got incredible bone density, very big furred, also a timeless, but back out of a Picasso daughter there from Hummel. Two good ones there. They have successfully flushed. Each one of them has flushed. One of them did 13 with 13 fertilized. One of them did 15 with 15 fertilized. So bringing you their best stuff there from the Decembers. Very, very nice pair of doe kids that they have here.
I'm sorry. Jaden Bowers, you're up next, lot 33 and 34. We do need to speed up our preview just a hair. Did I skip past? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Lot 35, 36, 37, and 38 from Allen Ranch, Bob and Bill Allen there. I think a consignor that has had as much buyer success through this event as anybody over the years. A lot of us here have had success with those things. If you just look at what Bob Allen 50 has done for the dropper firm there in Iowa, and the people that have been able to take advantage of that. I think 4 really, really good does. You guys make a few brief comments on those, but I mean, this is a very eclectic, I would say. There's a little bit of diversity in them, other than they're all 4 high quality.
All 4 are extremely high quality, and nothing else that we would expect from Bob and Bill Allen. This place has a special place in my heart, and pumped that they continually bring a set to the Fiesta, the Symposium, to be on display. The very first time, when I moved to Illinois, I went down to Glenn's and said, hey man, we got to get some good goats into some good hands. We bought one that came from the Allen Ranch. He was Reserve Grand at Kansas City. I believe that lot 37 is out of a full sister to that one. That's a Sin Dog cash-in. To me, that's the wildest looking one of the group. That looks the most like a show goat. Awesome in terms of build and balance, hind leg design, absolutely phenomenal. Glenn, I'm going to need to lean on you for this Sin Dog pedigree.
Well, that's a dog-eat-dog that we all, Kevin talked about that flush and those wethers that were flush mates to dog. Bob leased dog and used him on several does there a few years ago and made a set of 81 derivative females, and so that's what that Sin Dog is.
This lot 38 is a Sin Dog out of a Swap Meet Louis. Swap Meet Louis needs no introduction in terms of the bone, the feature, the things we talked about this morning being introduced. Lot 35 and 36. Lot 36 is a Popeye Radar. Radar is the wildest looking goat that I've ever seen. Width, extension, levelness, absolutely out of this world. Popeye is one of those fuzzy handcuff sons that I believe Bob and Bill raised that were extra, extra special. And then lot 35, if anyone's studying them walking outside out here, is maybe one of the biggest back, biggest muscled ones that's been through here. That makes sense because that's a Sin Dog tree shaker. We studied the Pfeiffer consignments with Juice. The tree shaker derivatives there where they're extra big muscled and extra punchy with the Sin Dog on top. That is big muscle on big muscle, and lot 35 is exactly that.
Well, Bob's does have worked for all of us that have used them. I don't know anybody's had personally a bad experience with those females. They come from a pretty tough country, I'm going to tell you, and they're pretty tough folks that run them and raise them. They're legitimate in terms of their generational quality, in terms of their phenotype. Those they're not pampered. If anybody never petted one, it's those guys. They don't pet them. That's rough country up there on the divide, and when you get one, they'll love your home better than they love where they come from.
Lot 33 and 34 from Jaden Bowers. I skipped ahead in my catalog just a little bit there. A pair of yearlings there in tag 3012 and 22-411. Thought these things looked really, really good in the program. These guys work with a lot of firms across the country, and they brought us a pair of them that are very, very nice.
Well, 34 is a Harlem Fuzzy 81. Love the pedigree from a female side. Come from an incredible flush. Cooper can attest to the Kohler doe and Pfeiffer's purchase.
The best one that showed last year.
That was a doe that showed last year. Looked incredible. Pfeiffer's jumped in, bought a Sib Buck kid, half interest for 67K there at the exclusive. Seth buys a doe kid for 18 out of the flush.
The best one.
Just incredible in terms of body and cage and broodiness. There's cow power in that one, no doubt, and the kind that we love to use and generate with. The 33 doe, there was a trio of those doe kids. Cooper came and looked and loved that trio, as did we, and as do we. This one's probably what I'm going to call the most fault-free of the trio in terms of flexibility, neck, shape, and show ring presence. She's a fuzzy on Make It Rain's mom. Cooper can attest to the value of that female and truly how she looks. I think he brought one here that looks similar to her in terms of mass, but an awful good one there. We love those does. We wouldn't bring you anything we didn't love. They're true virgin yearlings. We haven't flushed them. We're looking forward to it and brought our best to you.
32, Jaden Bowers, pick of the December-born doe kids, and this is something you guys spend a little bit of time on. I think this is a really neat deal. So you are offering pick of any of your December 2024 born doe kids. Did this last year, I believe, as well. The pedigrees are here listed below. Big opportunity here.
We can rush through this as fast as you guys want.
You know, when it comes to these,
I guess I know why.
When it comes to these, hard to sell them. Takes a lot to run the place. Bryce and I have talked about it. We've done this a couple of times. Let you pick them off the top. We've got those matings listed, as well as about 50 or so. Little kid naturally had some text about how many will there be. I'd say somewhere between 40 and 50 that are, you know, alive and in good rig when the time comes, just as a guess. Those things have undersold historically. We've typically sold a pick between 15 and 18, and the reality is second, third, fourth picks average about 27 or 28. So get in where you fit in here. It is legitimate. You get to look at all of them, and we're offering that.
I'm just really pumped that Glenn and Bryce are allowing the opportunity to buy the pick of them, because my experience has been that I go down, see the one that I want to buy, and she is not for sale at all. And so the opportunity to have that this evening relative to my experience the last couple of years is pretty exciting.
Sorry, guys. Got people texting me on the preview that are asking questions. I'm trying to get everybody answered. If you're watching online here, lot 31 from Harbor Livestock. Trey texted me there last week. A little late to the game. He was a little late on his homework, not going to lie. But we did hold up printing the catalog and publishing things for him. He said, hey, we've had a great year selling their sheep. First year that he really, just quite honestly, hadn't kept all the best ones and hoarded all the ewe lambs. And Trey's been showing the best weathers and winning banners and beating everybody's head in there. And Mike's been hoarding all the ewe lambs. And this is the first year that they've actually turned loose of some of those things. And they have flat got them sold big time. But this lot 31, he said, hey, man, I'm just going to bring you one of the best ones if I can still get in, even though I'm late. And we held up print for him. She looked great in the video he sent me. She looked great in the pictures he sent. She looked even better in our preview today, guys.
I agree with that. Better live out here out back. One of the most elite-looking females that's back here, and when she comes to you or goes away, she's perfectly square. She's monster pin. She's smooth in her build, awesome in her femininity. Just a super high-quality female of any species comes to us there from Harbors.
Lot 30, turn your page there, of KM Sires. And so what Trent and I are going to sell here from KM Sires, the pick 10. We've got 3 new buck kids that we're real high on. I'll let Trent talk particulars on them. Waymaker was, Cooper saw him there at the house this spring there before Fever. He's a I Am the Way son. We've got a new Believe in Me son, and then we cloned Blaze's Cinderella Man Weather that won Dallas there the State Fair of Texas this past October, and we've got him. All 3 of those bucks are starting to hit the AV. We actually bred some does this last week or two to the Game of Thrones buck, the Believe in Me son. We're selling pick 10 straws, mix and match of those new bucks. Trent can talk a little bit about them.
$3 we're really excited about. As Kevin said, Waymaker is kind of the highlight deal. Study that one's pedigree, and then study that loose picture. And we pictured him, and I called Kevin and I said, man, if I could draw a picture of an I Am the Way Cinderella Man, I think that's what it'd look like. And it's mind-boggling how he looks so much like those two sires, but yet does some things neither one of them can do. If you're trying to make him taller shouldered and sounder and leveler and bigger legged and square, I think that's an easy place to go. I know Bounds was pretty wound up on him at Kevin's when he went on his fever tour. One we're really excited about to bring into our program and offer to the public. Game of Thrones, that would be a Believe in Me Daddy whistle. And another one we're excited about. I've used him, Kevin used him our last couple of flush groups. Talk about one that's cracked open, has lots of shape and cage and a big loin. His hip's huge, his stifle's big, and he goes away extremely wide and square, something I think a lot of goats that we've seen hit the ring this time aren't. And then the clone, that was one of my favorite wethers we've raised.
The Italian Stallion.
So the Italian Stallion. We're really excited to use that thing. Wide, stout, dense, looks to make him expensive, has lots of bone and shag. There's only one Cinderella Man son in existence rather than this one that's being promoted with semen. I think this one can work on a wide variety of females. We're really excited to offer this. The first opportunity to use these bucks. Pick 10, you get 10 straws, mix and match.
Full disclosure, on the Italian Stallion, Blazes Weather that won Dallas, we called him Rocky Balboa. And we gave $40,000 for that weather at Midwest Fever. And my wife called me and she said, man, what are you doing? Now, the last time I checked, I think it pays 20 or 21 to win Dallas. And I said, well, that is the best one I saw. I looked at what I thought was every one of them that year. I looked at all of them. I said, that's the best one. Skylar talked today in our judges panel. I had a ton of confidence in showing to him. And I said, I think if we can do that, we don't got to go back. And that one won, I think, by a pretty fair margin. And we cloned him. We've got a healthy clone rolling there. And so this will be the first opportunity to use the Italian Stallion. Lot 29 from Kemper Livestock, embryo package, A, B, C, and D. Talk through those. Buyer's choice, sell them through the options, A, B, C, D.
We will sell every option. Once the option's taken, we'll sell the next one. On the options that have 4 embryos, if a guy says he wants 2, we're done selling that option. We'll move to the next one. You do have option to take all 4. We're selling it per embryo. Option A, that is out of 3113. That would be a flush mate sister to the champion doe at Louisville and Denver. She's impressive. We probably should have showed her. Her sister was the standout, so she didn't hit the ring, but one I have a lot of confidence in. We made her to Believe in Me. I think there's big time potential there. Option B is out of 3083. She's a here to stay. That's what she said. That doe would have made a pair of I Am the Way wethers we sell for $19,000 in our April sale. Those look really good. That doe's done an incredible job. She has a couple sisters in our donor pen. Another one, I think we bred her to Kill the Noise this time. Lots of potential there. Option C is 3024, and she'd be a Cinderella Man red leg. She was the most impressive Cinderella Man doe in terms of dimension and chest width and cage. I'm pretty sure Cooper and Carson bought a flush mate sister to her. One we're extremely high on. She would have made our leadoff wether, this paint here on our catalog. One that we have a lot of high hopes for coming into the fall and into the winter. We made it her to Timeless. I think that's kind of a no-miss lining up. Cinderella Man and Timeless's mother there. Option D, 3100. She'd be a flush mate sister to the 3rd overall doe at Kansas City and a maternal sister to the 3rd overall doe at Louisville. We've made it every single one of those sisters to Kill the Noise. I think that's kind of a no-miss. Another one that is perfect built, wild looking, bred to Kill the Noise. We have really high hopes for those.
Well, I think ridiculous value here. For those of y'all that chase these weathers like Bryce and I do, not just the ones we raise, but the rest. We bid on these things. They got clear of where we could run. You have an opportunity to buy them right there in the tank, and I think just an incredible ROI and opportunity here when you read through the options here on that lot 29.
We're going to keep rolling through the preview. The food is ready, so if you guys want to kind of start funneling through that food line in the back, the food's ready. Go ahead and start serving yourself there. Come back to your seats. We're going to continue rolling through the preview so that we can get to Skylar's talk before we start the sale. Lot 27 and 28 are the live lots here that we looked at from Kemper Livestock. Lot 27 would be the Tag Me In paint doe. Lot 28 is the Daddy Issues. These are yearling does that have been flushed. They made 25 and 16 embryos in July.
Well, lot 28, I don't know if we really touched on this in our live preview, but that's a flush mate sister to a buck that Bernie and I have at stud that we call Tea Time. That buck sired our high-selling doe this year that Bernie and I raised, and then he also sired our $31,000 wether there at the Fever that won the Illinois State Fair. That's the one there at the Fever that did get shown so far, and so really excited about him. He'll get to show continuing on this fall. This doe is a flush mate sister to one of my absolute favorite wethers that showed last fall. He was second in class to the Reserve Grand at Kansas City. He won Division II at Louisville, and he was reserve lightweight at Denver. And so that thing was right in the thick of things at every single big battle last fall. This thing's got major, major value.
Yeah, one we're really excited about, packed with a pedigree that's found the winner's circle, made our high sellers. Lot 27, the paint doe, is one we hate to get rid of, one that we had a lot of success with last fall. She either won her class or was right in the mix at every show we took her to. I have not sold hardly any does out of this 1061 Daddy Sister, but one we thought we'd offer. Elite in her build, shallow, shapely, and extremely square and wild looking.
Turn the page here to lot 26, and this is the ewe lamb from Kelly Hair Sheep, and Colton and I got a little love-hate relationship. We love to hate on each other and give each other a hard time, and man, he's been super helpful. I've got my kind of thank yous that I'm not very good at making, just to be completely transparent. But before we start the sale tonight, Colton has been extremely helpful in putting this event together from start to finish this year, and want to thank him for that. He has brought us an absolute exceptional, in my opinion, ewe lamb here that has a lot of options. If a guy wanted to put her in the pasture and flush her, I think she needs to be shown, in my opinion, and go try to win your kid a scholarship. This thing is elite. She's athletic. She's awesome looking. We're selling her in her entirety. Lot 26, the best or nothing from Kelly Hair Sheep, guys.
Well, as we look at that female out the back, I think one thing comes to mind, and that's fault-free. That thing is elegant. She's elite. She's flexible. She's up in her chest and down in her flank, flat-backed and square pin. Moves around the ring elegantly. No doubt he brought one that's great flesh, opportunity to show, high-end stock there, and one that you can take from the ring, I think, back to the breeding pen, and certainly not be disappointed with anything in terms of generating quality or ability. An awful good one there, maybe as good a one as they've offered ever.
Again, I'm not allowed to be a shepherd. I'm not a shepherd, but I did think that was one of the highest quality pieces of livestock that was on display outside.
Yeah, he wasn't going to bring one unless he truly believed in her. We talked through some ideas there, and he said, man, I really want to take one that has some differences and some diversity, and maybe one that has an opportunity to hit the ring if the buyer so chooses, and I really think that's a nice ewe. Lot 25, talked about resume. We've talked about some of these animals that have a big resume. We've talked about some of these animals that have a huge productive track record, and Charles, this is one of those deals, not going to lie, I kind of wore him out to sell her. He wanted to sell her online with us there, and I said, Man, I really want this one selling in the live sale. He was not able to be here today due to a scheduling conflict, but lot 25 from Charles Seidensticker and family, 5-5 Riverbend Farms there from Comfort. The Wildcat ewe, as she's known, or the Red Fox ewe, who originated from Wesley Glass there at Wildcat Ranch. Norman and his family, very familiar with her as well. And if you read through the deal there, Glenn, I'll let you talk about her. She sells 100% in her entirety. She has never been flushed. Her natural parities have made flat winners every single time, or replacements, or sheep that have made impacts in the industry. This is a great opportunity for anybody who wants an investment or anybody who wants to make better Dorper sheep and sheep that can hit the show ring and be competitive. I think this is one of the best lots we're going to sell tonight, lot 25.
Well, one of the better white Dorper ewes that's been offered, and one that's not just being offered, but is generated. She's in rig. If you've had the opportunity to see this doe or even view the video, she's a real deal in terms of balance, build, flexibility, and she generates extremely good. She's consistent in her production, never been flush. She's got a little age on her, but she's in perfect rig. I think anybody in that business in this game would certainly look at her and think stud ram generator, no doubt has proven herself as a show ewe or donor generator as well. Get in here if you're in the white Dorper game, opportunity to buy an elite female here from Charlie.
Lot 23 and 24 from Macon, a pair of December doe kids that were not for sale as babies. I think everybody, including me and the guys sitting to my left who tried to buy them as doe kids, were told that if I decide to sell those, they're going to sell at Symposium, and here they are. Lot 23 and 24, a pair of Burn the Boats. Lot 23 is a flush mate sister to the Grand Weather at Ohio State Fair there a couple of weeks ago, and there is a catalog misprint between Macon and I's communications there and pig sales and everything else we had going. Lot 24 is a Burn the Boats on a sister to Braden Gross's Weather that won Austin last year, not the mother. So that's the Burn the Boats, whistle, Captain Morgan, not a Burn the Boats, Captain Morgan, so throw whistle in the middle. But this is a pair of Decembers. They ain't got to say much. Them things are real, real good. You boys talk all you want, but I'd say a guy better be serious right here.
I don't think Macon.
Hold on. Selling choice of these two, and they'll sell, let's see here. They will sell as the fourth lot through the ring. We are selling choice. You can double down and take them both. If the buyer doesn't take them both, the second one will sell halfway through the page, wherever that is in your order. Selling choice, though, on these initially.
I'm not going to talk about the Weathers. I'll leave that up to Coop, but I think the three of us here have 100% built our doe lines and our herd around making stuff. They go home, they work, they flush, and he is one of the most relevant year in and year out guys in the whole entire business. Like I said, we've all built around him. We've all taken them home, and we've all made embryos and made high sellers out of his stuff. I'll let Coop talk about these couple Weathers here. I think he had a little part in their success.
Well, my favorite pair genetically and phenotypically that he's brought to a sale, and I think incredibly elite back here in the back, awesome in terms of phenotype and pedigree as well.
This lot 24, or tags 3214. We've got a typo in the catalog. That is a Burn Whistle Captain Morgan. Her mom would be a flushmate sister to the Weather that's pictured. We also showed a flushmate sister that one a year earlier. We called her Mona Lisa. That is one of the winningest show does in the Midwest that Bernard and I own together. One of the best Weathers that we made this year is out of her. Hoyle made a set of goats out of her, and then Aronson also made a set of goats out of a sister as well. And so that lineage of female has worked tremendously well. That Weather that won Austin that year was the biggest legged and the wildest looking of that set. Was really excited for the Gross family. Brendan got along there. His second year there showing at Austin with one that was really special in terms of athleticism, in terms of fur, This lot 23, 3213, is another one that Macon told me was not for sale when they were doe kids. I went back through and looked through my notes. These 2 tag numbers were marked as keepers. I try to buy a set of doe kids from Macon every year, but these 2 were marked as keepers, but they are available for sale this evening. I thought that was interesting. Really glad that he is setting his best back for the Symposium. A little frustrated with him personally because I like to buy them. I think both of them are very good. This 3213 is a flushmate sister to Maya McCoy's champion at the Ohio State Fair. If anyone follows the Midwest State Fairs, that is the hardest one to win, and Maya won with one that was very, very good. This 3213 is a flushmate sister to her, and I'm not going to tell anyone what to do on that pair, but that's the mate to a sister to one that won as hard a combat as there is in the Midwest.
Yeah, he was one of the most impressive baby goats that sold this spring. I went back and looked at my notes after he won, and it said own. Cooper tried just a little bit harder than us.
Lot 21 and 22 from Maverick Show Goats. Brian brings us a pair of does we got to look at, a pair of really special ones, sired by Rico and no other. Rico being the buck from Alan Morgan, no other being the Keep the Faith son from Trent, and I think a pair of really, really high quality doe kids. And then I want to speak to lot 20 or yearlings there, and then I want to speak to lot 20. The doe, the genetic option, their split flush opportunity. We're only selling this once, and they are offering 50% split flush opportunity. So basically, you're buying half the embryos in the dish on option A or B, tag 2114, the Harlem doe, or option B, tag 3134, the Rico tadpole. Both these does got resumes. They're 2 of Brian's best new does he's going to flush on. So lot 20 is going to be the embryo package, buying half the embryos in the dish from Maverick Show Goats. You can also have those things transferred and pick them up with a 60-day pregnancy confirmation for $400 a recip. So that's a little different twist on it, guys, here on their deal. So you can either take your half of the embryos in the dish, or for $400 a recip, you can pick those up after their 60 days confirmed bred. Lot 20 from Maverick Show Goats, I think it's a really cool deal.
Well, you know, I think Maverick brought us 2 good ones here in terms of our live lots. One that wins a class at extremely competitive Georgia Nationals there in lot 22, the spot back doe. One that's just incredibly stout and dense in terms of feature and pin set there out of Rico in the 21 doe. I think as good a pair as he's brought, as good a yearlings as he's sold. He agrees with that. I mean, he brought his best here and wants them to be productive for the buyer, not withholding a lot 20 where he gives you a chance to split the dish with him on the embryos made out of these this flush opportunity. So awesome opportunity there from Brian Rowe and family there at Maverick in Montana.
Well, it's this lot 21. I know we're not supposed to keep on rolling, but I thought 21 and 22, Brian brought as many interesting breeding pieces as anybody. This lot 21 has as big a leg hair and as big a fur as anything in the offering this evening. And I'm not saying that thing's absolutely the most important, but it's definitely a subject matter. She combines fur with muscularity and power. I think that's really, really difficult to do. Her pedigree to combine all that together. If you've listened to Brian throughout the course of the day when he was on the panel, he talked about Yellowstone and the importance of those maternal lines. He combines Alan Morgan muscle and power with his favorite maternal line with Yellowstone there in lot 21. Lot 20 looks like an opportunity to breed to a buck that I want to make as many babies as we possibly can out of. I talked with him this morning about that. I think that's a really neat opportunity.
I think that 21 combined, being neat neck, neat throated, and still big featured and big haired was a neat doe. Lot 19, 18, and 17 are the 3 live lots from Bounds and Wheeler. We got to look at those things. And Coop, again, when you and I talked in the airports about these 3 does, you said, man, I got 3 good ones. They got 3 good mamas. They got 3 good track records. And I'm willing to bring them, and I think they're very, very good. I'm glad you did. Tell us a little bit about them, guys. I thought these things looked really, really good out there in the ring. set those things up. Blaze grabbed every doe for me. 3/4 view, they were wide. They're neat necked. They're sound on their front end. I thought these were really 3 high quality does. Thanks for bringing them. You guys give some talks about them.
I thought as a trio, they were maybe the soundest, most functional, best headed and ear, and maybe the best in their front end skeleton of everything that came through today. Cooper and Carson certainly are getting after it, and they're searching for pieces and making pieces that are working not only for them but for all of their families. 2 of the most dominant guys in the game. These 3 does are incredible in my opinion. Awesome in their head carriage and their ear set. Have lots of muscle, lots of cage. They're super complete and they're really, really functional. I think 3 does you can take home that are backed by awesome does and some that have won on the biggest stages. Hats off to these guys for offering these 3 up.
Well, running backwards, I'll just make a comment on each one. The lot 19, incredibly wild in terms of her look. She's not quite as furry. She's obviously shucked if you read her body, the leg hair back there. But this lot 19 doe is awesome in terms of cage, in terms of width and balance and proportion. Just a great female. Coming or going, you really appreciate her just in terms of skeletal width and quality. The wildest looking up front in terms of elevation extension to me would be the lot 18. That one is as geeky fronted and still wide and square and true at the surface as any that's back here. I love her extension. I love her elevation at the base of her chest. She's still cagey in terms of how she's built. She comes bigger front to back out through her hip and pin set. She has incredible hair, stupid show ring presence and look. There's a ton of bucks that work with that female, no question. And you can read, hey, they loved her. They've done what they can to generate out of her and brought her to us. One of the densest, stoutest, boldest, cagiest, biggest pinned, biggest chested, and still laid in neat from point of her shoulder to top of her blade and out through her neck set is the lot 17. That one is ridiculous in terms of width, flexibility, and stoutness, and then still awesome in terms of femininity, a true generator and by appearance and also by pedigree. Thought an outstanding trio. When he brought them out there, I'm like, hey, Coop, y'all won. This one is way out. This trio right here is way out there in terms of quality. I think just an outstanding set.
Thank you, Blake, for that contribution you've made to the symposium and to keep our stream going. Lot 16 from Sanders Show Goats. Man, this is something Roy Sanders and I have really grown a great relationship here over the last year, and he's been a great friend, great to work with, and somebody that I think you need to go see there in Harper, Texas, and look at genuine, good goats that are ranch raised, that are fundamental, that have muscle, that have flexibility, that have body condition, that have cage, and that have a upside to their feeding ability. Roy made a very substantial investment last year in a doe, and then was contending bidder on a semen lot here at the symposium last year from Blue Team, and he actually got with Jamie to buy one of those jumps, a semen, the day that he went to pick up his semen on Thunder. Thunder was not good, and Jamie graciously let him have a jump on Moscow Mule, which I think was the only jump sold. So Roy had unbelievable numbers in his flush programs, and he has 2 Moscow Mule sons that he's going to sell up to 5 natural matings on each buck here tonight. And so here's how we're doing this. We're selling both options on either buck, tag 4033 or tag 4050, okay? The buyer of lot A or the buyer of lot B, whoever chooses, if you take 1 or take 5, we're rolling to the other lot. So we're only selling this twice, okay? Up to 5 natural matings, 1 to 5 times the money. Roy will take your does. He'll get with you on a cedar schedule. You bring your does in there. He's going to breed them for you, and he's willing to keep those things for another 21 to 25 days to make sure they don't recycle with you, and then you can take them back. I'm here to tell you, I've seen these bucks 4 or 5 times, probably, Roy. This black-catted one, he has had, I don't know how many opportunities to sell that thing. Real high rent. Awesome looking, super sound. You can see in his pictures. Scan that QR code. Look at this thing's video. He is Cadillac in motion. He has got jumbo tree trunk legs. He's got a little bitty head. He is extreme in his body shape, and if you want to power him up, check out this tag 4050 Lot B. He come out of the Soldier Boy doe that Sanders bought here last year at the Symposium, and that thing is as chunky and powerful and cagey and big-hipped and wide and absolutely muscular, powered up as anything I've seen this time. These are two really, really good bucks, up to 5 times the mating on either buck from Sanders Show Goats. Big-time opportunity. Turn here to lot 13, 14. You want to do this next?
Let's do this.
Okay, let's do this next. Get everybody's attention here. If you're eating, if you're online, make sure you're paying attention. We are rolling to the back page of the catalog, lot 62, the mystery lot. Okay? If everybody has a catalog, insert here live, but if you're online, unless you've been on Facebook, you may not know what that is. Lot 62, the mystery lot, offering choice of bred recips from Falkenstein's August 29th flush yesterday. All donors are made of the KM Sires buck lineup. Double down or triple down up to 3, but no more than 1 bred recip per donor. Recips will be blood tested, buyer to get to choose between the breds and ultrasound breds when they're done. So they're going to bleed them and ultrasound them. You get to pick between the bred ones when they're done. Donor choices: the Wint doe, 22-29, 23-149, 23-139. Trent, you want to take over and talk through this. The mystery lot is from Falkenstein Show Goats, confirmed bred recips from their flush program yesterday.
I think a really cool lot. Luke and I were kind of dragging our feet on what we were going to bring, and if you know the Falkensteins, they don't like to sell females, so we thought this was the next best option, offering a quick return on investment for whoever chooses to buy this lot. These are mated to either Timeless, I Am the Way, or the majority is mated to Kill the Noise, and these does are some of their best yearlings from last year's set. Really excited about this. They had an awesome flush day yesterday. There will be a lot of recips to choose from. Once they bleed, they will send the results to the buyer, and they will be able to choose, depending on whether they took 1, 2, or 3, what matings they'd like. And before they will leave, they will be ultrasounded to confirm pregnancies. I think a really cool lot, really quick return on investment. Something I know Bounds was begging him to do on a couple of these does, but something I'm really proud of Luke for offering in the Symposium this year.
Lot 13, 14, and 15 from Mock Livestock there. The kids and Megan and I and the family brought these 3 yearlings. I thought 3 of them that kind of told the success story of the Fiesta and the Symposium, being out of purchases that we've made here over the years, both does and semen. 13's a Popeye, back on the pie for 1140 doe. Again, we flushed that mother 1140 there Tuesday for the 5th time, and she's made over 100 embryos now in 5 flushes. This doe, lot 13, made our high-selling doe kid online this year, actually, in her maiden flush. Lot 14 there is an Anchor Tat, the buck that Trent and I owned at KM Sires. Made the Grand Doe at Louisville, the Grand Doe at Denver, and the Grand Doe at San Antonio. And then her mom's a 2100 donor that we worked with at home. And then lot 15 is the Anchor Tat doe. 2105 is the mom, which was Fear Not's mother. Wishing one hand back on that Holscher doe, Glenn, that we talked about that I bought from Steve at Fiesta. 3 yearlings from Mock Livestock, 13, 14, and 15.
Hey, we ran through those pretty fast, but the reality is those aren't the kind you run through fast. That's an incredible set that Kevin brought. He shortened himself on time for the essence of time, so just an awesome set there. Get in where you fit in.
Lot 12 from Mock Livestock. Spend a little bit of time here talking about the genetic lock. This is the draft pick. And what we're going to do here is we are offering A, B, or C. No option to double or triple down, okay? This is option A, would be 3rd pick of our Keeper Doe Kids set this year, of our March, April, May Doe Kids. These guys have been through those things. Coop, I'll tell you, the 2007 daughter out of Kill the Noise is in the mix. There's a sister to Waymaker in the mix. There's a Bones possibly in the mix. We'll have to go through those things. But again, Third pick of any of our keeper doe kids this time. I think it's the best set of doe kids that we've ever made. Option B, second pick from our January 2025 born doe kids. As in A and B, we'll go through those things, take the whole farm tour, go to lunch, show you the donors, show you the doe kids, go through the pedigrees. Second pick of any of our January born doe kids. Thought that made a nice lot for somebody to go show in the Midwest and then possibly bring back home. Option C, if you're a gambling man, risk versus reward. First pick of any of our confirmed bred recips from the flush that we did Tuesday. It was the best flush that we've had in 3 years. There's some matings in there that I posted, such as Believe in Me on I Am the Way's sister, and some of those other things that we've got there. We flushed 8 or 9 donors there and made the best embryos that we've made in a long time. So A, B, or C, the draft pick.
I think a really unique opportunity. 3 different options that no doubt a guy couldn't go wrong with either. Option A is incredible. We walked through the doe kids. Kevin and I both thought he should keep 2 different ones, and there's 5 or 6 of them that I think are in consideration. I think if a guy buys that, big time opportunity to get in on some of Kevin's best doe kids.
Well, I like how he's scheduled out third pick on this first option because there's one in there that I think is absolutely incredible. This is the absolute most progressive scenario in the entire offering this evening. Hope everybody pays attention because this combines high-risk gambling with some awesome opportunity. This is probably the most interesting option that we have as a lot this evening.
Lot 11 from Morgan Livestock, the bred recips. Alan, text me those numbers. What we're selling again, kind of like my option C there, or Falkenstein's mystery lot. This is choice of the confirmed bred recips. Must take delivery by November 3rd, by 1, by 2, or by 3, times the money on the confirmed bred recips from Morgan's flush today. He texted me those numbers. Option A, 2080 made 10. Option B, 2059 made 12. Option C, 1024 made 16. So you're going to have lots of them to pick from. Choice of the bred recips from Morgan Livestock.
This is absolutely incredible. You guys had an online sale. You guys had an online sale on the Livestock Marketing Group selling Alan's bred recips from a group earlier. Those were really interesting. These donor choices are absolutely awesome. I wish Alan was up here to talk through these. He has made as many elite show goats and high-selling show goats as anybody in the country in the last couple of years. These donor choices are excellent, and he's offering up to 3 on all of these. And so we've got 2080, that's a tag team Lieutenant Dan. She made the Friday Night Fever consignment last year. That's the buck kid that Newsom and Ripley own together. Rico, Milo, and Finer Keeper's mother is that 952 daughter there. That's a tag team on her. 2059 is a swipe right on W2, and then 1024 is a not tonight on W2. That W2 donor is the famous number 2 donor at Allen's. That would be the mother to Allen, the mother to Pandemonium, the mother to Daddy's dad, the mother to those couple tag teams that got along at Illinois and Iowa.
Reserve Grand at Austin. That doe is done. That number 2 doe has been phenomenal.
She was a 175 daughter that absolutely killed it.
Lot 9 and 10 are Allen's live lots. We looked at those things. Good Eye, Lieutenant Dan, Top Gun, Pulse Rider. I think those things are really elite animals. Lot 9, we do have a typo here. Ear tag number is 3218, not 3128. Blue Team Weathers bring us 4 yearlings. Went through about 170 of those things there a month ago with Jamie, or 3 weeks ago maybe. I don't know. I called Trent when I left there and I was really excited about those things. Lot 5, 6, and 7, and 8. I thought these does offered a diversity of phenotypic value. Obviously, the Blue Team genetic value is there and what they bring to the table. Lot 5, 6, 7, and 8 from Blue Team Weathers hey, buy them how you see them. There's one of them that's super bulky and sound. One of them is as stout and elephant-footed as you can make them. One of them is absolutely as wild as you can get. And one of them's a freak show from the side when you set her up. You guys talk about them. I thought 4 really neat lots here, and 5, 6, 7, 8 from Jamie's.
Well, I think that's just it. Where you fit is where you need to be, and get those how you like them. Jamie brings a crazy set just in terms phenotypically, and then the genotype. You can get in and dig around at those females where you like them. I wrote complete, I wrote really stout, I wrote high-end look, I wrote another one that's really stout, and you can start picking apart those pedigrees and figuring out where you think you fit. One thing about Jamie, he'll definitely help you stand behind the stock. That is a high-end set of females that Blue Team brought up here for us to partake in.
Yeah, to reiterate, a really neat set. I think kind of choose your flavor. Every time I've looked at them, I've liked a different one. We got to see them last night and again today. 4 that are extremely different, bring a lot of different things to the table, but have Jamie's signature look, bone, and shag, and all of them have a different pedigree depending what you like and would like to build around. I think a really neat offering here by Blue Team.
Lot 4 from Blue Team Weathers is a half jump on full house. And if you say that backwards, you might mess up. Not a full jump on half house. I almost read it that way. I'm dyslexic. We're selling a half fresh semen jump on their new buck, full house. He's a moose, easy bake soldier boy. I got to see that thing a couple of weeks ago there at Jamie's and ask him there to sell that. And if you know us, hey, we've got along real well with that semen and making some breeding pieces there at Blue Team's. We've got some doe kids there made out of the jump we bought on Lightning last year. I think we kept, put a dollar figure to this. We bought the jump on Lightning last year in the Symposium for $19,000, and we kept 7 or 8 doe kids in our keeper pen out of Lightning. So put a dollar figure to that. My kids actually have one, Blaze and Braxton, have the best doe kid maybe that we raised this time, or for sure one of the best 3. Trent offered them their first vehicle last week for the doe kid. I will buy you your 16-year-old first vehicle within some boundaries, and Blaze and Braxton said no. But I guarantee you, hey, this buck is nice. He is round cage. My comment last night when we went and looked at him was, if you go to Louisville, if you go to Kansas City, you go to Houston, you go to San Antonio, there's going to be less than 5 Weathers at one of those big shows with that kind of body cavity and cage, and one of those is going to win the show. And this thing is really, really neat looking from the side. He's a moose son, the buck they've used and had so much success with. Again, we're selling a half jump with option to double down on their new buck, full house.
I really enjoy visiting with Jamie about bloodlines, because that guy is a multi-generation speaking about lots and lots of really, really good females. This thing's outside pedigree is moose, easy bake, soldier boy, black gold sister. What's neat is that all of those big name bucks that he's talking about in his promo sire are also mentioned in his 4 lots that we just breezed through here in lots 5, 6, 7, and 8. The guy is trying to offer everything that he believes in and everything that he thinks is really, really good in the Symposium. We need to make sure that we talk about that and bring it to light. You can buy it in mail form with this semen offering, or you can go grab some of those really neat yearling donors that haven't been touched yet, but his absolute best female lines are available for sale this evening.
I would just like to thank Dina for letting him offer this fresh semen, because every time I ask Jamie about anything, he always says, well, let me ask Dina. And usually that means no. And Kevin asked this, and I'm pretty sure he said, let me ask Dina. So I'd just like to give a big shout out to the real boss lady there at Blue Team Weathers for letting him offer this.
You better shout out your boss lady too.
Lots 1, 2, and 3 to conclude, and then we're going to get to a really exciting keynote speaker. We advertise this as more than just a goat sale. We hope it brings value to your businesses at home. We hope it hello, Jaime. We hope it brings value to your businesses. We hope it brings value to your personal life, not only your goat herd. We've got a really neat keynote speaker, Skylar Williamson, here in just a few minutes that Casey's going to come up here and introduce. Lot 1, 2, and 3 from Piper Farms. Kelsey and Carissa came down with 3 does with Jerry's blessing And not going to lie, I think this is the best 3 they brought here in a couple of years. It took a minute, Glenn, for the public to be able to access these juice genetics. Last year we asked Kelsey, bring some juices. He said, man, we need to get a year of those under our belt of using them ourselves before we're going to turn loose of them. And they're selling lot 1 and 2, a pair of Flushmate juice daughters, and they've got this big burly lot 3, who's the second under photoed lot in the sale catalog, I think. That thing is absolutely a creature in person. Lot 1, 2, and 3 from Piper Farms, Glenn.
Well, these things, you know, they decided what they wanted to offer and wanted to bring a pair of juices, both go back to Jumpman females. I agree with Kevin. Real life, these things are chunkier, they're stouter, they're higher end in terms of their look and their build. No doubt juice is generated. I don't know if you just added up dollars, but when you talk about quality, wins and banners, maybe as unparalleled as any buck they've had. The lot 1 and 2 are 3/4 sibs in blood. I think actually 7/8 in blood. 2 that we just get an opportunity to sneak in. Okay, it says full sib. The one lost her cedar, and that frankly she wouldn't be here if she hadn't pulled her cedar out. That one was maybe one of our very best ones that we had, the 3166, in terms of going forward with Juice Daughters. She pulled her cedar, and you know, somebody's going to get the benefit from that this evening. Love that female in terms of balance, in terms of look, flexibility. There's no doubt they're cagey and big muscled. Lot 2, similar story. One that shows more body probably than she does in picture. One that I think is really high end. Everybody's gone back and forth on that pair of sisters in blood as to which one they liked. So outstanding females there that come from the Piper farm. Hard from the part with the lot 3, just in terms of her genuine build, her genuine width and cage. That one is bold. That one's wide and square. Broody is her look, and still high quality up front, right through her neck and her head. One that's just impressive in terms of her structure, her body type, and her muscularity. Extremely cagey, as I would say. That one is a perfect timing voodoo. Bred to have the cage, the body type, the shape as those perfect timings have, and very hard muscled, shapely, and ditchy, if you will, in terms of coming from the voodoo side of the game. I'll let Cooper talk about that trio, but an awesome set there from Piper Farm.
Well, what I really like to see here, and we'll focus on lot 1 and lot 2, this is basically a culmination of the last 3 or 4 years of work at Piper Farms. And Jumpman would be a flush mate to the buck that would have sired the champion at Louisville. We called him Ladies Man, correct? He would have sired the champion at Louisville in, I believe, 21. That was a really, really impressive weather. And then Juice is easily the stoutest, roundest, bulkiest male that I've seen at Pfeiffer's, and his sisters were also incredibly dominant. I believe his mother came from Glenn originally, and the culmination of years and years of work brings us to this stage where we've got a pair of flushmate sisters that are ready to go make some magic happen.
Well, thanks, guys, for talking through that catalog with me. We'll get your attention here if you're in person. If you're traveling, if you're virtual, I'd encourage you to get good phone service and tune in. We've got a special treat for us. The symposium was something that Megan and I dreamed up there a couple of years ago to rebrand the Fiesta, and we wanted to bring something a little different to you from a professional standpoint. I know a lot of you personally, you have companies, you have businesses in your professional life, and outside of maybe your goat industry. I was fortunate there about 1.5 years ago to attend a corporate battlefield session there with Skylar Williamson there in Austin, Texas. Had to send my resume in, actually, to get in, and then had to be a guest of my brother Casey Mock. But Casey's going to come up. We've got an absolutely treat for you here in Skylar Williamson as our keynote speaker for the evening. And then following that, if you're watching online, we will start the live sale at 8:07. So please give a hand for Skylar Williamson. Casey's going to give him a introduction.
What kind of mic is Skylar
Hey guys, turn it on. Hey, hello. There we go, there we go. Hey, my name is Casey Mock. I'm Kevin's twin brother. I know a lot of you and grew up in this industry. I run the Mock Ranches group. I'm a business coach, and I've worked alongside this guy that y'all have a treat to hear and learn from for years. I remember in 2010, probably, I was hired to run the land division of Keller Williams Realty International. Grew that from a startup to a $6 billion business. But I grew it alongside this guy here. His name's Skylar Williamson. He's the best leader I've ever personally reported to, and he's become one of my best friends. Kevin and I were sitting around my kitchen table about a month ago, and I was fortunate to keynote this last year. And Kevin said, man, we really need a good, strong keynote this year. And I talked to Skylar earlier that day, and I said, if you can get Skylar Williamson, that's a home run. Skylar was a graduate of West Point University, went to Texas, University of Texas, McCombs School of Business, and finished his MBA there. Skylar was an officer in the Army for 6 years, Airborne Ranger, fought in Iraq and Afghanistan. I've heard some of this guy's stories, and you're going to also. He owns multiple businesses, been married for 20 years to his wife, Kristen, got 2 awesome kids. He's the author of the new book, The Steady Leader, and if I know something about this guy, that's what Skylar is a steady leader of men. And so, Skylar, proud of you, proud to have you here. I think this group's honored to have you.
All right, thank you. All right, well, the coolest thing I can do is maybe just share with you guys some more stories. My goal tonight is just to talk to you about leadership in a way that resonates with me. A few years ago, I asked myself, why does my family love me? Why does my team love me? And what I settled on was that I was a steady leader, that I showed up every day, delivered results the same way, spoke to them the same way, treated them the right way. And I think that that's what a steady leader is. And, oh, okay, stop right there. And what I want to do tonight is just share some of this wisdom that I've gathered through my life, through some of these combat stories, and just some random things that I think will resonate. So picture this. I'm in Baghdad, all right? And it's 2006, and I'm in the Sunni area of Al-Maria. And I don't expect you guys to know this, but in Al-Maria, that was very publicly Al-Qaeda's strongest city that they had in Baghdad. And they, on a video, they made a video saying that this will be the last city that we ever lose in Baghdad. So that just happened to be the city that I was responsible for during my time in Baghdad, and it was nasty. I mean, the weapon of choice was the roadside bomb, and our folks did a great job. They found ways to add armor to our Humvees so that when we were traveling, there was more protection. But just the way that the enemy reacts to better armor is they just add bigger bombs, right? And so they became more deadly. And a lot of our soldiers, unfortunately, were injured and killed by those bombs. Well, we were on a patrol, and we had a friendly unit in the city next to us come under contact. And I could hear in their voices that there was a lot of fighting going on in the background, a lot of gunfire, a lot of explosions. And I knew that they needed support. So before the battalion commander asked me to move in their direction, we just started down that path. And we were moving as fast as we can. When you're going to support another unit that you know is suffering casualties, you don't go slow. And going slow is usually how you spot the IEDs. You don't prevent the IEDs or the roadside bombs from blowing up. You just spot them and you avoid them. So we were moving quickly, and the fastest way to get where these soldiers were was to take an off-ramp. And the off-ramps in Baghdad are just like they are here in Texas. They come down to a single lane, and your traffic is very directed. And so the enemy had positioned a roadside bomb that blew up on my vehicle on our way to help these other soldiers. And I still remember this experience like it was yesterday. I mean, the movies actually do a pretty good job of that fog of war that happens after a big explosion. Things seem to move slower than they actually are. Your ears are ringing, and it takes a minute. Even though you're conscious, it takes a minute for you to regain kind of that clarity so that you can make a decision. Well, when I regained clarity after that explosion, I could hear all of my guys in the truck screaming. So they were all in pain. Every single person in the vehicle was a casualty, and we were in a situation where we didn't have support because they were helping the other unit, but the bomb was big enough that it disabled 3 of our 5 vehicles. And I want to stop the story there, and I'll hang out afterwards, and I can tell you guys a bunch of stories if you want. But I want to say, what do you do as a leader in a chaotic situation like that? Are you capable of making good decisions? And I realize that this is an extreme example, but just because I was in this situation didn't mean that I couldn't step up and lead. I had to lead. I mean, it was my responsibility. No one else was going to do it. So I had to sort through that and do it. And I know this about chaos. Chaos attacks the weak and the strong, especially if you're strong. Chaos comes to you because you're doing a lot. And so we don't get to avoid chaos in our lives. Leaders have to step into the chaos. And the remedy to chaos is clarity. And that's what steady leaders do. They bring clarity to their organization so that you can solve that chaos and lead your team effectively through that. And so none of us are immune to chaos, and we have to seek that clarity. I like this definition of leadership. John Maxwell, who's written more leadership books than any other person on this planet, calls leadership influence. I have another mentor that describes leadership as teaching their people how to think so that they can get what they want, so that we get what we want by helping them get what they want, right? So to me, leadership boils down to 2 things. It's influence and teaching people how to think. And I think that it's smart to start there as, we're looking at ourselves as leaders, as we're looking at ourselves as people that produce results in our business, and think, what are the models that bring that to us, right? I already talked about how clarity cures chaos. Well, models are simple frameworks that are very teachable, very memorable, that if we were to teach our people using a model, we will lead them to getting what they want, why we get what we want. So I would just challenge you, as we go through this, I'm going to share some models that I think will be helpful, and just keep that in mind, that it gives us the ability to be influential. And so the first model I'll share with you is I believe that leadership happens every day in 3 sections. We have to lead ourselves. Once we've done that very well, we can worry about leading our team. Once we've led our team really well, we can move into leading our business. But as we're leading our business, we don't get to stop leading ourselves. You have to do all 3 of those continuously. And for me, when we talk about driving influence, you have to focus on leading yourself, right? And I think that influence, which is leadership, we've already defined it that way, there's 3 things to focus on. First, when you're seeking influence from someone, you have to value them. And so if you think about our political leaders today and why no one can get on the same page, is because they're worried more about arguing with each other rather than sitting across the table and saying, look, I value you as a human being, as a child of God. I value you. And then we can talk about the differences. But you have to know that the person that's with you, before you lead them, that they have to know that you value them. And so it all starts with value. The second thing is you have to create a life for yourself that the people who you want to influence will desire to have. Are you living a life that the people you want to influence, that they care to have themselves? Right? I mean, and fortunately or unfortunately, most of the people in the world look up to those that have the most money. Well, if you're trying to influence a large segment of the population, you could just go get really wealthy, and then people will start to listen to you. I mean, we get to see that on social media all the time, right? You talk about making money, they'll listen. You have to have a life. You have to look the part, you have to play the part, and be the part if you want somebody to follow you. That's how you become influential. And then this third part is what we've talked about already in the title slide, just being the steady leader. So much of leadership is creating a safe and trustworthy environment for the people that choose to follow you. And are you that steady leader? And that's what I'm going to drive down in today, is how do we become that steady leader? So I'm going to produce a framework here for you all that'll keep us on track, and I think it's something easy and digestible that you can go and work on tomorrow of how to make yourself a steady leader. So here's my model. Step 1, create a vision. Everything that we do in life is in pursuit of a feeling. Think about it. We go to work every day and we expect to be paid at the end of the day. And the whole reason why we care to be paid is because we want a feeling after that. We want to be excited about the money, or we want to be secure or safe. But all of us, everything that we do in life, think about your children. Everything they do is for a feeling. All right? And the moment that you understand that all of our actions produce feelings and that's what we're after, is the moment that you can start to sit down and think about your life in the future being beautiful, and then thinking, okay, well, what actions are going to produce those feelings? I want to feel fulfilled. I want to feel loved. I want to feel excited or motivated. You know, we all have a feeling that would drive the best life. And so your vision is, well, to have those feelings, I have to do these things, and this is what it looks like in the end when it's done right. So what is that for your life? 5 years from now, if you did it right, what would it look like? And then you documenting that down on paper, that would be your vision. It's going to be future focused. There'll be a gap between where you are today and where you're going in the future. Your vision may change over time. You know, as you're older or you gain more wisdom in your life, it'll change because your priorities will change. And it creates a target. And this is the most important part about vision, is it creates a target for the future, for you to go and direct all of your action toward. And that might be the most important part of it, of being steady, is once you have a vision, you can direct all of your action toward it in pursuit of your best life. And you have to do that for yourself so that you can do it for your team and for your business. Step 2, be combat ready. In the military, combat ready might be just the inverse of that. You're ready for combat. We talk about soldiers being trained and equipped and motivated. For me, being combat ready means you're healthy. And I think of health as a 4-legged stool. One leg would be mental health, a second leg would be physical health, and the third and fourth leg, those would be spiritual health. And so in physical health, well, let me just back up. I think the reason why the 4-legged stool works for me is because I think of life as like an ocean. And some days it's very smooth water, and some days it's rough water. And if I was on a boat, would I want to be sitting on a 2-legged stool, or would I want to be sitting on a 4-legged stool? Well, if it was rough waters, I want to sit on a 4-legged stool. You don't want to fall, right? And so you have to be healthy to really get through the rough parts of your life, if it is a time of chaos. And so the physical health, people say life is a race, right? Well, your physical health would be the race car. Are you driving one of these nice pickup trucks out in the parking lot? Are you driving a broke-down Volkswagen? Your body is your race car, and it's either a liability or it's a weapon. And you got to take it serious. If you want to be this steady producer for your family, or if you want to be a steady producer or a leader for your business, you can't mistreat your body. You got to take care of your nutrition, your sleep, and your training. And the beautiful thing about physical training is you can manufacture adversity, which is going to make you mentally strong. And that would be the second one, right? Mental health. And to me, mental health is your desire for constant improvement and constant preparation. I think that you're mentally strong if you're always prepared and if you're always trying to improve yourself. And there's easy ways to go out and do this. You can listen to podcasts. I've talked to some people tonight that listen to podcasts. That's their choice of how they learn. You can go to things like this where people speak to you, and if you truly listen, You might gain some stuff that you'll take in and deploy in your business from learning from people that speak. You can read. I love to read. And I've learned over time that there's two really effective ways to lead to increase your health mentally. And for me, it's I read to solve problems in my life or in my business, and I read to fuel my passion. And those, if you're reading to solve problems in your business or in your life, and if you're reading to fuel your passion, you will always be hungry for more. And that's the point of the mental health, is to be hungry, to desire to be prepared, to desire that constant improvement. And then the last piece is the spiritual health. And look, the spiritual health, I believe, is two legs of the chair, all right? I think that you could be spiritually healthy and one of the other two, physically or mentally healthy, and you've got a pretty stable stool. But the second you go and just be worried about your body's health and discard the others, I think you're in trouble. You're standing on one leg. And the easiest way that I would define spiritual health for myself is when you wake up in the morning, do you think about all the things that you're going to do for yourself, or do you think about all the things that you're able to do for others? You know, is your life about what you're going to get, or is your life about what you're going to give? And I think that's a good measure. And you ought to catch yourself thinking, well, is it for me or is it for other people? And you know, I'll tell you, my son 2 nights ago, you know, when I was putting him to sleep, he asked me, "Hey, Dad, you know, how am I going to go to heaven?" Well, my son's 7 years old, and I'm like, "Buddy, you know, yeah, you're going to go to heaven." Well, he's like, "Well, how am I going to be sure I'm going to go to heaven?" Well, I know he knows the answer to this question. I was like, "Hey, dude, what are the 2 things that you have to make sure that you do every day?" And he knows the answer to this because we talk about it a lot. He's, you know, love my God and love all God's children. And I go, "Man, are you doing that?" He's, "Yeah, Dad, I'm doing that." I go, "There you go, buddy. You're good. You don't have to worry about much more than that." But it does require spiritual health. It does require you leaning and trying to help others for that to be a reality. And so when you live your life for yourself, you run the risk of the world dictating your values because you constantly think about what you don't have. And you can't be a steady leader when you're constantly worried about what you don't have. You will be a steady leader when you're constantly looking to serve others and provide value to other people's lives. Step 3, you got to love yourself. You know, we just talked about love God and love all God's children, but I'll tell you, I love this quote here, you know, perfection is the enemy of progress. I played baseball growing up. And in baseball, the funny thing is if you succeed 3 times out of 10, they make you an all-star. You know, so you can get out 7 times out of 10 and you're still doing pretty good. And that was a beautiful lesson in life for me as I grew up, to be okay with 3 out of 10 and be more worried about pursuing excellence than perfection. And I'm so grateful for that because, you know, as I looked around in my life, I was never the best. And I realized that was a blessing too, that I was always going to be hungry for more. And I had a baseball coach that used to tell me, you can't be a 3 to 5 player. And practice every day was from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. And what he was teaching was, like, if you wanted to be better than most, you had to work before practice and you had to work after practice. You couldn't just show up at practice and really commit to being as excellent as you possibly could. So if you're a person that's pursuing excellence, you have to work before and after everybody else is working, right? If you truly desire the excellence. And again, perfection is not a great mindset because it's going to lead to disappointment, and disappointment is the quickest way for you to quit. And I love Dan Sullivan, he's titled the Strategic Coach. I love the gap and the gain model. And he wrote a whole book about it, but I'll summarize it in 30 seconds. When you're living in the gap, you're paying attention to a future goal that you pursue with all your might, and that goal continues to move further and further out. You're never satisfied. You always want more. And the world, especially on social media, will show you that it is possible to be perfect, right? Because you see everybody's perfect outcome and that still moment in time, that picture or that short video. And you'll always think in the inside, like, man, once I get there, I will be happy, right? That's living in the game. It's very difficult to live a satisfied life when you're living in the game. Living in the gap. When you live in the game, you're really only competing against yourself, right? You look in the past and you see how much progress you've made as a person. You look at how much progress you've made as a business, and that progress gives you your satisfaction. And that's an excellence-based approach. And that requires love. It requires grace, right? You have to have the ability to look past perfection and give yourself grace so that you can see the progress you made and then continue to stay motivated. And that's the thing. The way to stay motivated and pursue excellence is to not be worried about the perfection. Perfection will cause you to quit. Step 4, you got to maximize your energy. If you look at all the productivity coaches, all the motivational gurus out there, they'll talk about this thing called peak state. And that peak state energy, I kind of believe in it. In the beginning, I used to think it was hocus pocus, but I do believe that you can set yourself up from an energy standpoint to be your best every single day. And we all know what it feels like. You know, some of us, the easiest way to think about it is, well, are you a morning person or are you an evening person? We all know, right? And we usually marry our other side. I'm a morning person, my wife's an evening person, and that's when we're our best. That's when we're our sharpest. And so that would be your peak state. And I read a book a while back called The Miracle Morning, or titled The Miracle Morning, and I'm grateful for that book because it gave me a framework to how to set my morning up so that I could be in peak state when I showed up for my team. But it was all about leading myself. And you can see my schedule up here. It's a little wild, but you know, I've been doing this for 10 years. You know, I wake up early. I wake up early enough that no sane person gets up that early without drinking coffee. So the first thing I got to do is drink coffee because I could get myself awake. But you know, look, then I spend time in the Word. I read my Bible, and I believe that tees you up for the best prayer that you're going to have for the day is right after that. So I'll say my prayer. Then I like to read a business book and journal. Then I will go work out. And while I work out, you know, I listen to worship music because I can't think of anything better to put into my ears while I'm working out. And then I pray again. And when I'm done with that routine, I'm in my peak state, right? I feel great. And I've achieved a lot by the time the rest of my family's woken up. Now, my poor children, they get that guy to go wake them up for school. And so, you know, I'm full of energy, and God bless him. I always start with my son because he's the youngest and he's the most innocent, and he's not going to chastise him like my daughter does. But I go in there, and look, I'm intentional about it because I'm working on his peak state right away. And I wake him up and I go, hey, dude, how'd you sleep? You know, he's like, I slept good, Dad. I'm like, dude, I just want you to know that I've been missing you all morning. I've been thinking about you all morning. And he's my son's hilarious. But he always repeats everything. He's like, oh, I miss you too, Dad. He just woke up. And then I tell him, I'm like, hey, man, I just want you to know, if I don't tell you enough, I'm super proud of you, dude. Like, I'm just so proud of you. And he always says, I'm proud of you too, Dad. and then I'm like, hey, it's going to be an awesome day, right? He's like, yeah, it's going to be a good day. And he goes, hey, can you make me some buttered toast? That would be his next thing, because my dude likes to eat. But like, in the end, at the end, he's cracking up because he knows what I'm doing. I'm like trying to get him ramped up for his day. And then we go downstairs, and then, you know, I wake my daughter up, and that's a work in progress there. But the next person's my wife. You know, I go down and I see my wife for the first time of the day. And, you know, we've been married for close to 20 years now, so this is a little routine, but I'm not going to let a morning go by where I don't tell her how much I love her. And then, so that's the first thing. Like, hey, I love you so much. And then the second thing is I'm grateful for you. And so I'm working on her energy. And then I leave my family and I go to work, and I'm working on their energy. But when you're in peak state, when you've maximized your energy, it's going to spread to everyone around you. And so if you're going to be the steady leader, you got to show up with that energy every day. All right, step 5 is you got a plan to win. Again, another military deal for me is I plan as if my life depended on it in the military, and I don't plan as if my life depends on it in business today. But I'm an intense person, and I bring intensity to my planning. And I believe that the most important thing for planning is to make sure that you are on priority as much of the time as possible. So, and that's when you know you got it right. When you have your vision, and your vision again is what it looks like when it's done right in the end, and then you take the step-by-step process back to today, it ought to tell you what the very first priority is. And I think, in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, they did this really well. They talked about the glass jar, and they had all these materials out in front of the glass jar, and if you didn't do it perfectly, they wouldn't fit in there. And you start with the big rocks, then you put in the pebbles, and then you shake the sand in, and then you put the water in. Well, this isn't all that different than everything else we do in life. You have to do the most important things first, always, or you won't be your best. You won't realize that best life that you're after. And so I think you gotta plan with that intensity, that focus on priority, so that you can make that become a reality. And I use my calendar as a weapon for this. I put it all on my calendar, and that helps me hold accountable. But I'll tell you another story about accountability, because I think your plan is all show and no go unless you have the accountability. Again, my son, who's very intelligent. He just asks questions all the time. I was sitting at my desk at home, and he said, "Hey, Dad, what's that sticky note for?" And on the sticky note on the corner of my computer screen, it says, did you show your family how much you love them today by how hard you work? And I was like, oh, it's a good question, son. That right there is accountability. I want to be able to come home every day, and I want to be able to look in the mirror and say that I showed my family how much I care for them by the effort I gave them in that day. And some days are better than others. But that if you gave yourself that accountability, your plan would take you to your vision. It just would, right? And I think that's critical for you all as you think about trying to be that steady leader for your family and for your business. And then the last step would be your purpose and your passion. And I purposely saved this for last. You can move your purpose and passion up in the sequence of things, but I think it's a good way to end a talk. And this, I'm going to wrap it up here. Your purpose is another model for thinking. It's a model to make sure that you're given maximum effort. And the thing that they don't teach you in school is that your purpose should never be about you. It should never be about you. Your purpose should always be about someone else. And if you wrote it well, it would be the most evergreen thing that you create for yourself in pursuit of the best life that you could live. And, I think that, when you do your purpose well, let me just say this. You'll quit on yourself. You will. In Ranger School, once I got into mountain phase, I thought every second of every day I was going to quit. Like, it just ain't worth it. There's too much pain. I'm done. I'm a big guy. I wasn't built to go without eating and moving nonstop. I lost 55 pounds in Ranger School. And to me, I thought every day. But that's because Ranger School is very much an individual thing. They're working on you as an individual in that school. In combat, every single mission just about, I had to kick open a door where I knew somebody was going to shoot at me from the other side of that door. And I never once thought about quitting. Not one time in combat did I ever think about quitting. But that's because I was there for a reason that was beyond me. Not only was I there for our country, but I was there for the soldiers, to bring back my soldiers who I loved, to bring them back home. And so I would never quit on them. And I think your passion, like that just drives the point home. It's got to be about, or your purpose has to be about someone else. And when you do your purpose really well, it will expose your passion, which is basically people, like who are you passionate about? And then that will be the fuel source that will never run dry. You know, people that talk about experiencing burnout in their jobs, it's because they're not doing it for anybody else anymore. They're doing the job, and you will run out of fuel at some point. The money won't be worth it. You'll run out of fuel at some point. But if you're passionate, and you're passionate about what you're doing for others, other people, that fuel source will never run dry. And so, you know, we talked about being spiritually healthy. You know, I'll end it with this story. My second in command, okay, the guy that went to Baghdad with me, who had the most experience out of any other soldier that I had. He was an enlisted guy that had been in the military for 24 years. He was so sharp mentally. He knew everything about the military and just all the tactics and everything. Physically, he was one of the most capable soldiers that I had in my whole platoon. But spiritually, he just wasn't there. And so about 3 months into our deployment, he just didn't show up for a patrol. And that wasn't all that unique, right? The leaders go off and do the planning and kind of the leader work while the soldiers are preparing the vehicles and the weapons and all that. So I thought, oh, you know, maybe he just lost track of time. So I went to find him, and I found him in his room, and he, you know, when I opened the door, like the cigarette smoke just came out of the room like a cloud. And I walked in there, and he had pulled all his eyelashes out, the hair on his eyebrows out, and the front section of his hair he just pulled out. The stress had overcome him. He couldn't do what we were doing multiple times a day anymore. And he, when I walked in, he apologized. He's like, "I'm sorry, LT." And I hugged him, and I was like, "Man, it's okay." And he whispered in my ear, he said, "I'm just so worried that I'm not going to make it back." And look, we got him help, we got him home, and that was kind of the end of anything like that in his life that he'd ever have to do again. But I've thought about this over time. You know, I've had to deal with his loss too, because I was his leader, and there is a component in there that he was gripping his life so tight. He was so worried about himself that it made him unhealthy. That, the reason why maybe I could last a little longer than he did was because I was doing it for someone else. I was so worried about keeping the rest alive that I wasn't worried about my own life. And I just think, in this life, as you guys go and you generate your purpose and you seek to be that steady leader in life, that you think real hard about who it's going to be for. And, for me, it starts with my family. I want to bring my family to heaven with me. But I want to bring as many people with me as possible. And so every day when I approach my business, I've been blessed, and I have about 70 people that work for me now. Every day that I come to my business, I want them to be a little bit closer to Jesus because of me. All right? And then that drives everything that I do. I don't need any more passion than that. I will work hard every second of every day just to fulfill that purpose. And so I pray that this blessed you guys a little bit in your businesses, that these 6 steps would help you become a steady leader a little more. And I ask that God bless all of you guys in your lives, your families, and your businesses. And thank you, Kevin, for letting me come and speak a little bit. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it.
Skylar, that was awesome. We appreciate you being here with us. Different crowd probably than you're used to talking to. We've got a huge online audience. To let you know, you spoke to over 1,000 tonight. So, man, we really appreciate you. Hey, we're